is Reverend Irma Forward, and my spiritual companion on our journey this morning of waking up your awareness is the inimitable Jean Kennedy, religious science practitioner. Good morning, Jean.
Good morning, Reverend Irma.
And how are you?
I'm wonderful today, and it's going to be a great day in spite of what's going on here. It's a new studio, so we have new challenges.
Right. New challenges today. And so we're going to handle them just simply because we know that we can. And we have that magnificent young man there, Joseph, who's handling everything for us. And it's all really quite interesting. But that is the world of Radio Land when you're evolving into something greater. And I do believe that this station is evolving into its greater self. Its greater big self, so to speak. So we're moving on with that this morning. This is Labor Day weekend. Do you have big plans?
I have no plans.
No plans. Neither do I. A couple of our acquaintances are having big family barbecues, and we weren't invited, but it's okay.
That's true.
Because we need to rest from our labor. We need to rest from our labor, and we're going to be talking about that as our topic today is celebrating Unlabor Day, and that's how we're going to approach this whole weekend. We want to take a fresh look at creating a life that works without all the hard labor that is entailed. And sometimes we create the labor itself just because of our erroneous thinking about our responsibilities to earn income, etc. So we're going to be looking into that a little more. And Jean, I would invite you, however, to anchor us in prayer. We're running just a little bit behind times this morning, but if you can anchor us in prayer, that'll be really great. And then we'll move on into some wonderful music by Faith Rivera called God Is. So if you would do that for us. All right.
Join with me as we recognize and accept for each one of us that God is all and is in all. We have come together seeking the true path of our beliefs and recognize our spiritual home. We know the spiritual truth of perfection for all, including ourselves, our engineer, our listeners, our local community, and the world. We know and accept that our words and thoughts have power, and we recognize that power as our God source within each one of us now. We declare these words and actions to be the truth here and now, and I say thank you, God, and so it is.
And so it perfectly is. And Faith Rivera tells us that God is.
God is where I stand. God is standing strong where I breathe. God is breathing life in and out and through me. Ask me where I sing. God is where I dance. Joy lives at my feet. Where I live, beauty's flowing free, in and out and through me. The faith in me, where I cry, truth is, where I work, love is my career, and where I play, God is playing boldly, in and out and through me, as me. Oh, oh, do-do-do. Oh, hey, yeah. Where I am, where I stand, where I play, where I work and breathe and move and feel, where I sing, where I dance, my dance, my dance, wherever I go, where I pray and take and give and leave. God is, life is, joy is, oh, God is.
God is everywhere present at all times, and as the song says, wherever we play, wherever we live, wherever we work, God is all the time. Would you agree with that?
I do
Jane?
agree with that.
All right. So this morning, as we indicated earlier, we're going to take a moment to define a life that works and what that means to you as an individual and collectively as your family and as your social network. We want to know that God is always available there. So, Jean, here's the deal. When we live from certain spiritual principles and when we apply certain spiritual practices and when we then leave the rest to the divine, life can really work easily and effortlessly. Now, let me be real clear here, okay? So what I'm not saying is that we won't ever have a challenge, because life is in session. So we're going to have some things that will cause us a little bit of consternation from time to time. And we won't ever experience what appears to be a setback, and we will never have before us an obstacle that appears to be a brick wall. But again, when we live from certain spiritual principles, when we apply certain spiritual practices, and when we leave the rest to the divine, those things that appear to be challenges, setbacks, and obstacles really become building blocks for that life. So today we want to look at this idea from a different angle and learn how to create a life that works without all the hard labor. So tomorrow we celebrate Labor Day, and I looked up a description of Labor Day, and here's what one source had to say. Labor Day is a day set aside in the United States to honor the American labor movement and the conditions and contributions that workers have made to the strength and prosperity and well-being of this country. And because I know that all of you currently are or were a part of that American labor movement, I would invite you right now to turn inward to yourself and say your name, whether it be John or Jane or Jim or Jennifer, and say, thank you for contributing to the strength, prosperity, and well-being of the country. Let's say that together, Jean. Thank you for contributing to the strength, prosperity, and well-being of the country. And then say to yourself, now I take tomorrow as a day of rest. We're taking tomorrow as a day of rest. And so tomorrow is a day off from that labor, a day to rest and rejuvenate. And so the question I want to pose to you today is, how can we rest from labor all the time and yet still contribute to the strength, prosperity, and well-being of our own lives and the lives of others? Now, that's a good question. How can we do that? How can we rest and still contribute to the strength, prosperity, and well-being of our lives and the lives of others? Now, what immediately came to mind when I asked this question of myself is a passage from Matthew, the 11th chapter and the 28th verse. And what it says is, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Now, that's a beautiful invitation. Now, Jean, if we expanded that invitation, what would it sound like as it becomes more personalized?
Come to me with your cares, your burdens, your worries, your fears, your "I have to do this all on my own,"
Okay.
and I will handle it for you so you can rest.
Now, that feels good, because there is a principle out there that says that it will handle it for us. There was a TV show many years ago, and the guy was always saying, "Handle it." And so we want to know that there is this essence, this presence that can handle things for us. And it feels good when we know this, when we accept this. You see, this is the ultimate invitation to trust Source, to trust God, to trust the universe, to trust the laws of the universe. New Thought pioneer Ralph Waldo Trine, in his wonderful book, he wrote a book called In Tune with the Infinite. He wrote, "If one is willing to trust himself fully to the law will never fail him. It is the half-hearted trusting that brings uncertain, and so unsatisfactory results." So the idea is that when we have a half-hearted trust in the universe and in the laws of the universe, we create a sense, an aura of uncertainty, and we create unsatisfactory results for ourselves. And so nothing is firmer, nothing is more sure than deity, than God itself. It will never fail the one who throws himself wholly on it. The secret of life, then, is to live continually in this realization, whatever one may be doing, whatever one may be, and to live this by day and by night, by waking and sleeping. Now, Jean, let's turn that also into a personal statement. And what do you think that would sound like?
This is going to sound like, when I am willing to trust myself fully to the law will never fail me. It is my half-hearted trusting that brings uncertain and so unsatisfactory results. Nothing is firmer and surer than deity. It will never fail me when I throw myself wholly on it. The secret of my life, then, is to live continually in this realization, whatever I may be doing, whatever I may be, by day or by night, by both waking and sleeping.
Wow. Now that's incredible. When we actually understand and throw ourselves fully on the presence, in other words, we understand and acknowledge the presence of God living, moving, and having its perfect being in and through us, then we can never fail. When we understand and rely on that intuitive guidance that comes from pure spirit, then we cannot fail. And our labor, so to speak, becomes so much easier. It doesn't become laborious, so to speak. We just move through whatever it is that we have to do, whatever it is that we want to accomplish, because we've come to this realization that Spirit is guiding us and directing us. And we say wise things every now and then. And because we'll say these wise things and you'll turn to yourself and say, did I say that? Did that actually happen? And it's all because you're throwing yourself wholly onto pure Spirit. So in practical terms, here's how things work. You have your dreams. You have your intentions for a life that works, as we defined it earlier. We are creating a vision for our lives, and it becomes one of those spiritual practices. When we create the vision, when we say that we're having a vision, we turn within and we find out exactly what it is that we want to create in our lives. And so when we do that, one author says, Brene Brown says, that it's kind of like sending an email to the universe to place your order for it. When you are happy that your email is very clear, then you hit the send button. In other words, the law, is the server of the universe. It's an automatic system, and it doesn't question your email request. Does it? I don't think so.
I love this analogy.
Okay. Did you have something?
No, I live by email. So this totally wraps around a lot of what I believe.
Okay. All right. So when you send that email, it's like you can't really physically go into cyberspace and get it back because you have made a claim on the universe with that email. So the law will simply fulfill every request because God never says no, not ever. And so we want to understand that we have to start looking for a reply. And then when you start wondering where it is, where's my reply to this email? And we have a little sophisticated system now where you can actually tell if a person has read your email or not, and you're waiting for your response to come back. Well, what we want to know is there is a certainty in the divine law that always reads the email and sends you back a return email almost instantly. You have to be open and receptive to the process itself. And so sometimes you wonder, is this email going to arrive? Is my reply going to arrive? So as soon as you begin to worry and stress that you haven't yet received what you wanted, and you have just sent another email out saying, did you get my previous email? Well, sure they did. They're just not responding. But Spirit, pure Spirit, always responds in time and on time. So we want to concern ourselves with the fact that we are fretting, perhaps for no reason at all, when we attempt to make our demands on the universe. We want to just simply let it go. Every now and then we want to send a stop order email. Now, I don't know, because Spirit we don't want to confuse Spirit. Not that Spirit can be confused, because it always gives us the inmost desires of our heart. That's what Spirit responds to. And so we want to know that even when we send that email out there, and because the server of the universe is an automatic system, it just simply doesn't question your email request. Its job is simply to fulfill the request. And then we wonder why we haven't received what we asked for. Once you ask, know that the server of the universe is an automatic, infallible system that never fails, and I would invite you to expect to receive your requests. Now, this concept, as we said earlier, came from Rhonda Burns. Ernest Holmes, in the book The Power of an Idea, wrote, "We must remember very frequently it takes what we call time for events to transpire, and therefore we should realize that the growth of thought into experience may take time to mature." Now, what is that saying to us? It is simply saying that everything has to be put into motion. We have what we call chronological time, and then we have what we call kairos time. That means that and that comes from the Greek, the word kairos, when we put everything in motion. Everything, and we can even say that the stars have aligned themselves. Everything is in perfect order, then that request will be fulfilled in Kairos time. Everything is in order for it to take place. So we want to be careful. So we want to trust in God. We will not make haste. We will not be confused. We will contemplate the objects of our desire and believe that we have it, whether we see it or not. And again, that gets back to what we were talking about maybe 2 weeks ago in terms of our faith. Our faith is believing that something has manifested itself, even though we haven't seen it just yet. So we will know that always by the silent process of the law, that the harvest is taking place, is taking form. And so when we relax and rest, so to speak, from our labor, then the process becomes much easier because we're not in there lifting the lids to see if it's working, to see if the pot's boiling. We're not doing that, but we're just letting the process unfold naturally. So it is fun, and our faith is made stronger and richer when we see the results. Now, I want to share with you a part of the vision that Jean and I have as it relates to this radio broadcast which we've entitled Wake Up Awareness. We want to wake up your awareness that is within you. So our email to the universe for quite some time has been that we're trusting that our vision is taking place in ever-expanding ways, even if we don't specifically see it. So the vision at this point states that every person who listens to our broadcast on Sunday morning feels at the core the presence of God's love, of God's light, and of the truth that is God. And their hearts are open to their deepest dreams and highest hopes. We want to support you in acquiring your deepest dreams and your highest hopes. We want to know that everyone is empowered to grow and stretch beyond their comfort zones, deepen into the spiritual truth of their being, spread their wings and fly into your dream. This is what we want for you. And in addition, we want to know that you consciously and unconsciously are providing comfort and empowerment to others, because we're sending that vibration of comfort and love and empowerment to you, and you have the opportunity to share it. This is a part of our vision, and that at the conclusion of each and every broadcast, that everyone listening to it is inspired to live a fuller, richer, more spiritually connected life, and you go out into the world and make a difference for the good. This is our vision for this broadcast, and I love it when I get to witness it, and Jean and I are witnessing it now as we receive phone calls and other forms of support for this ministry. And so I want to share with you another email to the universe that we've been sending for quite some time, and it says that we uphold individuals in God's pure light as they navigate the valleys of life. And in those moments of despair, we want to know that there's a safe sanctuary for the healing of body, mind, and soul by sending a beacon, or rather a vibration of love and hope and acceptance. We are a life-saving community that helps people find their place in the world. And as they begin their upward journey, we want to support them with enthusiasm and with joy. And that vision which we have trusted is completely and totally being manifested by the amazing support team of the Center for Spiritual Enrichment and the KCAA staff and engineers. So these are just a couple of examples of what happens when we engage fully in the spiritual practice of setting a clear vision and intention, and then trusting that Source will unfold it. Now, what Holmes says in The Science of Mind, he says we learn to trust the universe, and we shall be happy. We shall be prosperous and well. And again, that is when we're trusting Source, when we are trusting the universe. And we must learn to come under that divine government and accept the fact that that nature's table is always full. It's always full. Never was there a cosmic famine. God is God in all of its abundance, in all of its prosperity, in all of its health. And then, Jean, what does Charles Fillmore say about that in Christian Healing? What does he say about that?
What Charles said was, if Jesus and his disciples and the early Christians did marvelous things through prayer of faith, we can do likewise. All this is required is perseverance in our use of faith until we make connection with the higher realms of consciousness, where, as Jesus said, through our though our faith be as small as the smallest of seeds, it will spring forth and demonstrate its power to carry out every desire into which we infuse it. Nothing shall be impossible unto you if your faith is in spirit and if your work is in harmony with divine mind.
Okay, so we want to be in a harmonious state of being with the divine presence, and we can be if we just relax and continue to know that this presence, this power, lives, moves, and has its being where, Jean? Where?
Right in spirit.
Right in spirit, in our individual spirits. This is where the presence of God is, and this is how we do the work of God, by allowing spirit to work in and through us. And we become vessels, we become emissaries of the Most High God as we acknowledge that we are children of the universe, and what we are simply are people who are representing the power and the presence of God. That is how God is able to do its magnificent work. It does it in and through each one of us. And so we can trust that, and we can rest in that today as we celebrate an Unlabor Day. And so this morning I want to leave you with another story. We've had a lot of stories this morning, but I want to leave you with another story. And this is a true story from the 1930s, actually. So it's an old story, but it is true. Half a century ago, a man was to walk a wire across Niagara Falls with another man on his shoulders. Now, I want you to get a visual of that, within yourself. And after weeks of preliminary practice, as the final moment for the event drew near, the rope walker cautioned his young colleague in words like these. This is what he said. "We are about to risk our lives. I am to walk the wire. The whole responsibility is mine. You have nothing to do but match my movements. If I sway to the left, let yourself sway with me. If I sway to the right, do the same. Under no circumstances try to save yourself, for there must be only one will in this adventure, and that will is mine. You must submerge yours to ensure harmony, for without perfect unison we are both lost. There is only one thing for you to do, sway with me." And with those final words, they began walking the wire with one man on the shoulders of the other. As they drew near the opposite end, the unexpected happened. The long vibration of the wire broke in the center into two waves, and each of these broke again into two, and so on. in accordance with the laws of vibration until the shortened wave-like movements became so violent that the man could scarcely keep his feet where he placed them. It was a perilous moment, but the feat was accomplished and the spectacular escapade was a success, garnering a place on the first page of the newspapers. After this, the young man who had played a secondary part settled down to private life. He married and became an active leader in his spiritual community. And he would often say, "I learned more religion on the wire that day than all of my life. I learned that the only sane and safe way to live is to sway with God." Think about that, people. Swaying with the presence, swaying with the universe. How much easier life could be. Do you see that, Jean?
Very much, because I think a lot of times the problem is that we fight that.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
we fight. We get into our own way.
We do. We sabotage the good that is coming to us by fighting. This story comes to us by Frank Arnold in a missive called Signs of the Times from 1931, November of 1931. Now, Meister Eckhart, who was a German mystic in the late 1200s, once said, "There is nothing else anyone can do that is so beautiful as to put complete trust in God. God never failed anyone who trusted him greatly, but rather by them God does great things." And I have to say that there is a gospel song out there that says, "God keeps doing great things for me and through me." Is that wonderful? Yes, it is. It is entirely wonderful.
Yes, it is.
And so we're going to say, "and so it is," to that portion of our program this morning. And then, Jane, we have a few prayer requests. Can we talk about those and say a positive word for those prayer requests?
We sure can. So join with us this morning as we know the oneness of God. We know that God is all and is in all, and that we are a part of that divine magnificence. And as I speak our word today for these people, we know that they are healed of whatever could possibly be in and around their lives affecting them. So for Pam, we know there is no appearance of cancer. She releases any thoughts of mental attitudes causing this disease to continue. And for Jared, we know that he is well-being and he is healthy and he is doing everything that needs to be done for him to be whole, perfect, and complete. And for Ernestine, that she has well-being and love. And for John, we know that he releases his anger and bitterness and is filled with the light and love of God. And for the McCain family, that they find peace and comfort in their journey without John. And for Sandra, that she has only thoughts of well-being, that there are no physical limitations for her, because she is a true spirit of the universe and is whole, perfect, and complete as all that we say our word for today. We know that this is the truth of perfection for each one that we spoke for. And for this I say thank you, God. And I release these words knowing that it's done. And so it is.
And so it perfectly is. And we absolutely give thanks to the universe for complying with our request, complying with our email of prayer this morning, knowing that we are receiving the wholeness and the love that is ours to receive. We give thanks for that, knowing that it is the absolute truth. And so this morning I will offer this closing prayer for everyone there. But first, Jean, do you have any announcements? We don't have any announcements this morning to make. We certainly we invite everyone to come to our Facebook page. Is that
Come
correct?
to our Facebook page. It's Wake Up Awareness. And please like us. And also leave us any messages or post your comments on our Facebook page. I truly enjoy going through the posts, and I know Reverend Irma does too.
Yes.
And it's a way that we can connect with all of you. We do accept prayer requests, and we do have people, besides ourselves, working on these requests for the 30 days. And we have plenty of time and room for it, so please send us your requests, send us your wants, desires, and we can help you get there through prayer.
We can. We absolutely can. And we invite you to remember that tomorrow is what we call Labor Day, but just know that it is also your day of rest, unless you choose to fire up the grill. That's a little bit of work involved there, but it's fun work. And so often we forget as we go out into the workforce that it can be fun if we're doing something that we're passionate about. And so I invite you really to look and see if you're passionate about your work. And if not, then it may be time for you to look at a change. I'm not saying to go out and quit your job or do anything like that, just saying that it may be time for you to look at other possibilities if you're not passionate about the work that you do. So we are just simply offering you that, not advice, but just, something to consider, something to think about.
And something else that we say every week is change your mind, change your life, change your thinking. So maybe the way you're looking at something, you need to go back and look at it a little differently.
Yes. Look at it a little differently. Look at your life experience with a little bit more passion. And so let's be inspired for the moment with a little bit of inspirational music from Ricky Byers Beckwith. And it is called Pour Yourself in Me, requesting the presence and the power that is God to continue really to pouring itself in and through us. Pour Yourself in Me by Ricky Byers Beckwith.
Pour yourself in me. Pour yourself into
And so pour yourself in me. We just allow the presence to be within us, and just simply to know that once again, we keep repeating this, but I want you to accept it and to embody it. The Spirit of God lives, moves, and has its being in us. It has poured itself in us, and so let's receive that this morning. I will leave you this morning with this closing prayer. Every day from dawn to eventide, God is and always has been. This one life that is God's life is my life right now. I want to repeat that one more time. This one life that is God's life is my life. It is your life right now. It is perfect and dwells within the being of each one of us. And so today we breathe in all divine possibilities for growth and infinite expansion as we release any stress due to what we call work or labor. We accept in all ways the passion of our individual callings, and this becomes divine labor. We rest in the love of God, and this love extends itself into our labor, which is not in vain, as this work is divinely inspired. This love feeds and fulfills us with the potential of life as an idea in the universal scheme of all of creation. We surrender our cares and concerns to this loving presence and offer gratitude for life eternal. We offer prayerful support for all the world leaders, knowing that they are transformed as they lean not to their own understanding, but rely solely on the whispers of pure spirit. And so today we live in wonder and awe of the blessings bestowed upon this great nation, and we are thankful for the grace that has bestowed upon us as emissaries of pure spirit. And that grace continues to abide in our land, the United States of America, which is a grateful nation and an always great nation. And for this we give abiding thanks. We are grateful, and we declare together, Jean, and so it is. And so it perfectly is. And we are thankful and know that all is well. Everything is in divine right order. And once again, we give thanks to Joseph, our engineer. Thank you.
Of course.
All right.
Everyone, please have a wonderful week. And we will be here again next week, same time, same place. You can also watch us on YouTube. Just go to Wake Up Awareness.
Yes.
Have a great week.